the first game that was postponed because of the pandemic. And actually, it's better now because it's a bigger deal. 3 unbeaten teams left. 2 of them square off this weekend. Something's got to give between this great defense and this incredible offense that Tennessee has quietly put together. The Titans reportedly will not be losing draft picks for whatever COVID-19 violations they committed. So the wobble continues for the NFL. Week and a half ago it was, and they were putting the word out. They were putting the word out that they were going to hammer the Titans with potentially historic punishment. Then last week, the word starts getting out, the NFL is not going to do anything at all. Well, now it kind of starts to swing back a little bit. They're going to get some sort of a parking ticket, apparently, but not anything close to what people thought they were going to get for unauthorized practice sessions, whatever COVID-19 violations contributed to an outbreak in the building. And there's still some lingering questions about what they knew and when they knew it about the outbreak they were experiencing when they went to Minnesota 3 weeks ago, just a day before all hell broke loose. So some sort of quiet punishment for the Tennessee Titans, but nothing like what the NFL was expecting to do. And they need to do something because last week, when it became clear that they weren't going to do what people thought, other teams are like, well, what's the, other than your own disruption, you don't have that deterrence that the NFL wanted to bake into this. So I think they need to do something to let other teams know that there will be serious punishments beyond your own inconvenience and possibly not being ready to play games because you didn't practice and everything that goes along with that. Over and above that, there will be punishment from the NFL if you don't do what you're supposed to do.
And, Mike, it all meshes with what I heard from Roger Goodell when we were on that conference call recently. And he said this is more about protocols and getting things right and making sure teams comply as opposed to any kind of punishment. And he felt good about them cooperating with what was going on. And so here we sit with likely a slap on the wrist after we heard that it was going to be very heavy punishment, get hammered. But, Mike, do you think when they let the word out about the getting hammered, that's when they wanted other teams to be scared and make sure they were following those protocols? Now, maybe they don't now, but don't you think that was some of that to make sure that other teams comply that maybe weren't complying?
If they did, it was Hollywood quality acting because they were telling multiple teams this is what is going on, to the point where when I started to hear the other side of it, I went back to some of the people who told me what they had heard from the league. And I said, hey, I'm starting to hear they're not going to do anything at all. And they were mad. They're like, this is baloney. They got on the phone and they told us this is what they're going to do. And they were getting that word out. This is what they're going to do. It's just part of there's a political reality to any organization. You don't just drop the hammer on somebody when you got 32 different teams. You get the word out, what you're thinking about doing. And I don't know. I just think that if it was deliberate, aimed at scaring people straight, it's not smart to do it that way, because if you ultimately don't do it, it's the hollow threat that no one else is going to take seriously. But I do like this approach differently than the bounty scandal, when there was a cultural issue in the NFL, and the NFL identified one team of many that was violating the anti-bounty policies and hammered the Saints and basically used that to scare everyone else into stopping. The better thing to do is tell everyone, look, you got to stop this, and next time whoever does it is going to pay, but we're going to give everyone a pass for now because we assume everybody's had mask irregularities. Hell, just watch the sidelines during a game. So, and I think their bigger challenge is hold it all together. They're so focused on holding everything together that they haven't really gotten to the punishment phase with the Titans. And hell, it's been 2 weeks since John Gruden, after being fined $100,000, his mask clearly not on, and the NFL said they were going to do something to him about it. They haven't been able to get to that because they've still been dealing with the Titans. And there's all these other brush fires that they're putting out one after another. It's like every day there's another team that's got some issue. A lot of times it's a false positive. But I just think their main objective at this point, they realize everyone's got an incentive to try to keep this out of their building and to try to avoid an outbreak. And I think the NFL's incentive is help everyone do it so they ultimately don't lose games.
The most egregious thing to me, Mike, though, was the off-site practices, because they had specifically been told by the NFL, do not do this, do not have off-site practices. And whether coaches were involved or not, I guarantee you the coaches knew they were having off-site workouts. There's no way they didn't know that these off-site workouts were going on. And to put a kibosh on that and say, we aren't going to do this, the NFL has told us not to do this. So that, to me, is the biggest thing that they did. we don't know everything that went on in that building, of course, whether they were fully complying with the mask. We know they weren't fully complying and things like that. But to specifically be told, don't go practice off site and then to go do it, that to me was the biggest thing they should be penalized for.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.